Now, could we just get started? One of the things that I'm asked to do as chairman is to make certain that we observe the timetable, which I will do. But so therefore, I should be rather tough with people who are talking too much, and I should encourage people who talk too little. Now, I am Crispin Tickell. I'm going to be chairing the proceedings until just after 4:30, when I'm afraid that the wind, the weather, and Mr. Wolf are threatening my journey home, so I shall have to leave you before the end. So I'm sorry about that. But several people here have not been able to come who we were expecting for reasons of the same kind. One being George Hepburn, who can't come. One being Olivia Bowen, who can't come. So we're sorry, but such is the character of the storms approaching us from the north at the moment that some people are just unable to go, and some people would probably have to leave a little bit early. So there we are for the moment. Now, before I say anything else, I want to thank those who made this afternoon's meeting possible. Of course, above all, Colin and Ruth Tudge, but Graham Harvey and all the others who have in different ways contributed to making this meeting possible. So I think we ought to begin by saying thanks very much to them. Now, some of you, in fact, indeed, probably all of you know, there is another meeting taking place, quite close by, in which we're hearing the conventional wisdom. And what is quite interesting is that this meeting, in a way, is the alternative to the conventional wisdom. We, all of us, like the conventional wisdom. It makes us feel comfy. At the same time, we all realize that it tells only a half, sometimes a quarter of the story. And this meeting is not exactly a rebel meeting, but it is an alternative meeting in which we're looking at some of the same thoughts in rather a different perspective. And I think myself that one of the most interesting things that's happened in the last, well, I'd say the last 12 months, the last 2 years, has been the fact that the challenging ideas about not just agriculture, but almost everything else, have suddenly become the normal way of discourse between people interested. It's a great opportunity for coming forward with different ideas. I ran a little think tank in Oxford a little bit earlier this year with Colin Tudge, in which we looked at some of the issues we're going to be discussing again this evening. And it's very interesting to see the extent to which people who did accept things in the past now realize that they aren't quite what is wanted. Now, what is the real problem? The problem, of course, goes very, very wide, and it's a combination of them. It's not just farming and agriculture. It goes into the whole array of things that are going wrong with our society. And all that has been highlighted, of course, by the economic crisis, but it's only been highlighted by it. It's been there all the time. Whether it's the follies of bankers or anything else, it's now suddenly come together in the last little while, in which we realize the ways in which we're running our society don't really work and have to be changed, and relatively quickly. I won't go into the whole range of things. There is the issues of human population increase, which I think everyone is now beginning to talk about, it having been a kind of banned subject for 25 years. People are talking about that. They're talking about loss of biodiversity, the damage to plants, and loss of biodiversity, the damage to ecosystems, realizing that if you change one element in a chain, you can break the chain very easily. So that lack of exploitation of resources, and the introduction of inappropriate ideas, of which I think, coming back to our theme of today, the application of manufacturing ideas to agriculture is a very good example of what obviously is not right in the long term. So industrial agriculture, the application of the methods that led to the production of lots of motor cars in large numbers in the past, or the other things that we're used to, simply doesn't work when it comes to agriculture. So it's the realization of a great complex of issues, and in that complex, food security, as it is called, or other things, has a very high place. And that is why the alternative meeting is taking place across the road. And we are not actually going to be saying that what they're saying is wrong. What we're going to be saying is that maybe they haven't quite got the message right. They haven't got it all. They've got to be thinking rather differently. And I just picked up as I came in just a moment ago the bit of paper produced by HM Government entitled Food to 2030. And we see that in the foreword the following is stated. It says globally agriculture needs to produce more food and impact less. Well, we're not going to worry too much about that. We can help make this happen by pressing for a fairer international trade system. I don't know what that means. And for the end of import restrictions and subsidies. That's a very strange thing to say. And perhaps less strange, supporting fair trade products. And so over the road, we're still hearing about the need to end import restrictions. We're still hearing about the need to avoid subsidies. We're still hearing the conventional wisdom of the kind that is produced, strangely enough, by a Labour Party, because what it's really doing is digging further still the foundations of the market system. It reminds me of some of my own trips to China, because I have been to China to talk to the Chinese. I belong to a Chinese international body. We talk every year about these things. It's been very interesting to see the degree to which the Chinese themselves are realizing that this doesn't work, that you do need import restrictions, you do need subsidies, you do need this, you do need that, and that the idea of the world being ruled by a fairer trade system, you mean to say an end of import restrictions, just the idea that all this is going to produce a happier society and a more fruitful society, and a society in which people live longer and feel happier, is really bunk. And I think it's quite important that we should realize that. And so, while I appreciate a lot of the things that Hilary Benn, who's a sensible, nice man, is saying today across the road, when I mentioned those three things I mentioned to you, about ending import restrictions and subsidies, going for fairer international trade, one says, do you know what you mean? Are you really thinking this through properly? Or are you having yet another go at supporting a system of economics, a system of agriculture, which doesn't really, in the long resort, really work? Now, we're going to be looking at all those things today. I'm not going to talk for more than my statutory few seconds, really, but I did just want to say that we have to understand that the market system, as we know it, is not really functional. We're looking at a great many things today. We're looking about the absolute importance of grass and grazing. We're talking about farming that's designed to feed people. We're talking about where do we go from here. All those things are happening. And what we're doing is trying to challenge the conventional wisdom where it needs to be challenged and look at a slightly different, or even perhaps a major difference of view. And that's why we're here. And that's why I think it's worthwhile us being here. I wish it's a great pity we can't invite Mr. Benn and some of his collaborators just to come over here for 10 minutes, and then we might do them equal honor by going over there ourselves. But I think, in fact, let us now get down to this, go through the various thoughts that we all have, look at the themes that have been set out very well by Colin Tudge in his bits of paper for the conference, and then we shall proceed, as I say.